I've never heard of it. So it'd be easy to say, oh, wasn't that a disadvantage? I mean, you guys have only shot the ball in here. Today we're going to go full-fledged practice, you know, with a lot of stuff going on. But I just think it's important to fall down on the floor and run into a chair and, you know, sweat, maybe somebody bleed, hopefully, you know, preferably not me or Moody, but somebody, somebody bleed, so we can get that out of us and say, hey, okay, this is home court. But we're just going to do what we do. I mean, it is what it is. So we haven't played here, so what? You know, it's like going on the road. It's not a big deal. I do feel like the people will be cheering for us, and that's really what a home court advantage is about.
From a basketball standpoint, the other night when you guys played Kentucky, I know they're obviously very good and talented and that kind of thing. Was that worst case for you guys with all the bigs getting in foul trouble and you start just?
That's a nightmare. When you're standing up where I was standing in that venue, my mom and dad were there. It was kind of sobering. My mom and dad had never been to Rupp Arena, and they drove up. And I didn't really want them to go because last year was pretty competitive, and they said some mean things about me as the game was being competitive. They're pretty serious about their basketball, and they certainly don't want to lose. And I was like, do y'all really want to do this? I mean, because I'm going to sit you here, and you're going to hear everything, and my mom can't barely hear. God bless her. But I said, Dad, you're going to hear a lot of mean things now. I mean, they're going to say some mean things about your son. But he didn't have to hear one mean word because we took care of that. It was kind of a yawner. But it was the worst case scenario for me. We came out tentative. We missed some bunnies early. And 12-10, 14-11 goes to 27-14, and the game just gets away from you. We have foul trouble across the board. Let me tell you an interesting stat, and I had to dig hard to find something positive to come out of that game. But when Tomas Giallo was on the floor, we actually outscored him. And this despite our power forward not getting a rebound, which was not the game plan. But Sebas, AP, Tomas getting in all that foul trouble, we never were able to get into any kind of flow whatsoever. And then we allowed them to do what they do. They dominated us on the glass. We gave them live ball turnovers, which led to fast breaks, which led to dunks, which led to my mom and dad not having to endure mean things saying about their son. We get beat by 22, and it felt like 100.
Is the rebounding, they doubled you on the offensive boards, that kind of thing. Is that, obviously they have bigs that are very talented, but how much of that was effort and execution?
They whipped us in a lot of areas. One-on-one just whipped us, and many times we didn't engage in the fight to the extreme we're going to have to. You know, really rebounding has not been a huge issue for us. I think we've been out rebounded 2 or 3 times all year. Right. Obviously, we haven't played anybody the caliber of Kentucky because of their length and athleticism. But we didn't engage in the fight, and some of that was the fact that we got shell-shocked. If you remember, a lot of people wanted to reflect upon last year, close game, you had a chance, didn't get it done. But the reality is Moody and Sebas are the only guys that were really in that battle. Newbie is Newbie, he's gonna do what he does. Anthony barely played, and none of the rest of the guys were, were even on the team hardly. So when our core kind of got out of whack, Moody only took 2 shots in the first half, he kind of got out of whack a little bit, and the game just got away from us pretty quickly.
What are your impressions of Alabama?
They're a good team. Got quality wins. They beat a good Notre Dame team. They beat Wichita State, both in Orlando. They went to Clemson and won. They've won 7 of their last 8. They lost a kid, Dejon Ingram, who was their starting point guard, a Mobile kid, good player. Goes down with I think it was a stress fracture, lost for the season. And everybody thought, oh man, this is going to be a big blow to them. But as a result, they've kind of galvanized and found themselves. They won 7 of 8, with their only loss being to an Oregon team that's pretty good in a neutral site by 4, while leading by 10 in the second half. So they're playing very good basketball. They've got a presence at the basket in Jimmy Taylor who can block shots. We're going to have to do a good job on him because he's long and he's athletic. They've got good guards. They got a senior leader in Retno Basahan who's been around forever and makes plays. They play to their strength. They're not going to. It's a different type flow. They're not the most up-tempo team. They'll take it when they can, but I think Avery's done a good job of finding the strength of his team and really trying to play to that.
You talked about how much it meant to you to close out Tad Smith with the win. What would it mean to open this place with the win?
Oh, I just know that there's been momentum created. We've won 7 in a row. The 10-3. Honestly, coaches don't want to admit this as you look forward, but in hindsight, you look at our team and I said, okay, where do we want to be leading into our SEC home opener? At Kentucky is going to be a tough one. But then in your non-league, would you have taken 10-2 and wouldn't have bounced the ball? I probably would have. I was hoping that in Charleston, we could have gotten to the finals and played a Virginia, who was a top 10 ranked team at the time. Would have been a great experience. Didn't happen. But then if you'd have told me, okay, you're going to play 4 true road games and you're going to win them all, I would have probably taken 3-1 and wouldn't have bounced the ball. So it all worked out. We go to Kentucky, we get beat. Disappointing the way we played. But we're sitting here 10-3 with an RPI in the mid-50s. We're in a league. You know, the SEC is always going to say, they're always going to say, oh, it's a bad year in SEC basketball. It's a bad year in SEC basketball. You're always going to hear that. I mean, I've heard it for 10 years. But the reality is, there are 9 teams in the top 7 in the RPI as you enter league play, which means you have opportunities, many of which, based on our schedule, we have starting Thursday night. So I hope our team is excited about that. I know there's going to be energy in the building. I'm sure there's going to be some nervousness, which you wouldn't anticipate. But based on the circumstances, I know there's going to be a little bit of nervousness out of our guys. I hope we can settle in and play well. And obviously, the first game in this building will be remembered for 50 years from now. You certainly hope that it goes on in the right color.
Y'all practiced in here once before, didn't you? You practiced in here the other day?
We just shot in here last night.
Shot.
We just shot the ball because they just kind of finished some things, and from yesterday to today, it's come a million miles, and I'm sure it's going to come a million miles tomorrow because obviously we've got to get ready to play. So we just shot the ball here.
It wasn't a full-fledged practice, but what did you think of the shooting? Depth perception, things like that?
You know what? We got a lot of guys that can shoot it when they're not guarded, and nobody's in the building. The problem usually is when we got other big athletic guys running at you and people in the building. They tend to freeze up a little bit. That's one of our biggest areas of concern. You know, I kind of talked for you guys for months now about I thought we would be a more efficient offensive team, but we're not. We're 13th out of 14 in field goal percentage. We're 13 out of 14 in three-point percentage. We're not being as efficient as we're turning the ball over, you know, more than is accustomed for us. So we got to get better offensively, because defensively we're going to have some issues as it relates to size and bulk along our front line. We knew that. It's the way this team is constructed based on some personnel things that happened to us that we couldn't fix. So for us, we've got to be better at what we do than ultimately try to counteract, you know, some personnel problems that we're going to have along our front line. And I'm still confident that'll happen.
Andy, you mentioned the job. Do you feel like this building changes your personal expectations of yourself for this job?
Yeah, it does. I've already had this conversation with my staff yesterday. It changes everything. You know, we've got to now. I'm a realist. You only got so many hours in the day. You've only got so much time. You only have so many resources. You only have so many visits. You only have so many games to try to get. You've always got to try to recruit a caliber kid that you don't think you can get, because if you don't, you're not going to get them. But if you don't spend time on plan B, then trust me, you're not going to be in this seat 10 years. I've been here. If I can survive, God willing, through this SEC season, I will have faced 33 different SEC head basketball coaches. It's a pretty volatile business. So I have to make wise choices as it relates to recruiting. Now I think, and I'm challenging my staff, our vision has to increase, because now we have a realistic chance that, quite frankly, we did not have before.